This is WKYT This Morning.
Kentucky Mornings start right here on WKYT. Good morning to you. I'm Bill Bryant.
And I'm Michelle Chamberlain. It's Wednesday, March 16th.
Glad to have you with us today. 6:30 the time. Developing news in Lexington right now. Police are investigating a third shooting in 3 days.
Witnesses say it was a horrifying sight, the latest on the search for victims after a car falls off a Kentucky bridge and into the Ohio River.
And dozens of people are spending their morning outside waiting to get inside an outdoor store.
Yeah, we're looking across the way as those temperatures start to drop because this front is making its way through, throwing a few showers here and there across Boonville, Beattyville here in the next 30 minutes. Temperatures in the 60s and even 70s outside. It's an awesome feel. I'll show you what your afternoon looks like coming up.
All right, let's get right to the news.
We begin with a developing story in Lexington. Police are investigating a shooting on the south side of town.
And police say they were called out to the Tates Creek Crossing apartments on Center Parkway just after 5 o'clock this morning. Here's the scene. A man had been shot in his leg. He was then banging on a door of a resident there for help. At this point, police do not know where the man was when he got shot, how far he had walked to that complex. They say they are not sure if he lives in the apartment, the building there, but he does have family who lives there. All 3 shooting victims this week have had non-life-threatening injuries. We'll keep you posted as we look into this. And work continues this morning to recover a car that has crashed into the Ohio River after a chain reaction crash on a northern Kentucky bridge.
12 vehicles were involved in the crash on the I-275 bridge between Campbell County and Cincinnati. WKYT's Caitlin Sentner is at our live desk with new details on the search for the victims.
We're expecting police to give an update later this morning after investigators suspended a water rescue for victims in that car. It's not clear right now when it will resume. Police say a car fell into the Ohio River after a pileup on the I-275 bridge. The bridge connects Kentucky and Ohio near Coney Island. Officials say 4 separate accidents happened on the bridge, resulting in 12 vehicles involved. No injuries on the bridge were life-threatening, but police say 1 vehicle was halfway across the bridge when it was involved in a crash and fell off. Campbell County Police Chief Craig Sorrell says water rescue crews have been assessing how to extract the vehicle.
That vehicle has been located. The Boone County Water Rescue is trying to assess their best approaches to get to that vehicle and determine if there are any persons still in the vehicle and by what means is best to recover any persons found and the vehicle.
The search for the vehicle was suspended around 1:30 a.m. this morning. At the live desk, Caitlin Sentner, WKYT.
All right, Caitlin, thank you, and we'll keep tabs on that story throughout the day on air and online. Coming up on 6:34 now, and as this year's legislative session is beginning to wind down in Frankfort, the battle over the state budget is just ramping up. Today, the House is scheduled to vote on Democrats' proposed budget plan that was approved by the House Appropriations and Revenue Committee. That plan rejects Governor Matt Bevin's proposed cuts to colleges and universities. House Republicans released their own proposals. They, too, want to restore some of the cuts to education. In a statement, the governor's communications director says the proposed budget by Democrats, quote, continues the bad habit of spending one-time funds for recurring expenses. If the proposed budget plan is passed, it will then head over to the state Senate.
Today, a judge is expected to hear the case against a Lexington women's clinic that the state says is performing abortions illegally. The hearing was scheduled for yesterday but was delayed. Governor Bevin's administration is suing the EMW clinic, claiming it performed abortions without a license. A second women's clinic being sued by the Bevin administration is asking that the state's lawsuit be dismissed. Bevin says a Planned Parenthood clinic in Louisville also performed abortions without a license. The clinic says it had permission from former Governor Steve Breshears' administration.
The state Senate has passed a religious expression bill that would protect businesses that refuse to participate in same-sex marriage celebrations because of religious objections. The Senate narrowed the bill so that it would only apply to businesses such as bakeries, florists, and photographers. They would be protected from civil damages or legal fees. The bill passed the Republican-led Senate on a vote of 22-16. It now heads to the Democratic-controlled House. The community will once again have the chance to support a Lexington firefighter who is battling cancer. The Nicholasville Fire Department is cooking up an Irish breakfast at the break room on Manchester Street tomorrow morning. All of the money that they raise will help support firefighter Matt Logsden. Logsden was recently diagnosed with stage 4 cancer. The firefighters say they're prepared to cook for up to 500 people.
Some sad news this morning from the Louisville Zoo. A 27-year-old gorilla died from complications from an emergency C-section. Miyamoto's baby is in critical condition. She was born 3 weeks premature. The zoo says the mother started experiencing unusual bleeding and her condition was considered life-threatening. A team of vets and OBGYNs examined her and decided an emergency C-section was necessary. A post-mortem exam is scheduled for the critically endangered species. The baby will be bottle fed and monitored around the clock.
All right, looks like the baby's doing okay at this point. Well, the doors don't open for another 3.5 hours, but already there are dozens of people who are camping outside Lexington's new Cabela store. The outdoor retailer is in Hamburg next to Costco. The store says the first 500 people in line this morning will get gift cards for varying amounts up to $500. There you see a live picture this morning of the crowd that is already gathering.
Oh my goodness, look
and
at that
lined
crowd.
up. Can you believe that?
Oh man.
A big draw for many, of course, with these gift cards on the line.
Well, we are camping because we want gift cards and guns. I've never, went to the Louisville store just because it's not convenient, but now that it's right around the corner, it's pretty awesome to have it, so close.
Doors will open this morning at 10 o'clock, and instead of a traditional ribbon cutting, an employee will shoot the ribbon with a bow and arrow. That's a little different.
It's very interesting. The United Nations Population Fund has named actress and Kentucky native Ashley Judd as its Goodwill Ambassador. The fund addresses reproductive health and population issues. Judd is known for her roles in such movies as Kiss the Girls, Double Jeopardy, and Heat. She is also known, as you know, as a big UK basketball fan. And speaking of basketball, get ready for lots of extra traffic in Lexington today. The boys Sweet 16 basketball tournament starts today.
How exciting, and what a tradition here in the Commonwealth. If your team isn't playing, there are still local schools to cheer on. Let's go to WKYT's Mark Barber live in Lexington with a preview of the Sweet 16. Good morning, Mark.
Good morning, Bill. This week, about 100,000 fans are expected to show up for the Sweet 16 tournament here at Rupp Arena. Now, this tournament always seems to deliver remarkable upsets and extraordinary personal player performances. Something else that this tournament always delivers: major traffic trouble. City leaders have already sent out traffic alerts to people who live and work downtown, warning them that they can't expect major traffic delays to last through the weekend. As you would expect when downtown streets are crowded, it will also be tough to find parking spots. There will be up to 4 games a day the next 4 days. Here's a look at a couple games that people in our area will likely be watching closely. Paul Lawrence Dunbar will take on Mercer County at 6:30 this morning. Then tomorrow at noon, South Florida will take the court against Christian County. Up until the semifinals on Saturday, the games will be at noon and at 6:30 in the evening. So that is when you can expect to see the heaviest traffic. Now, city leaders are asking people who work downtown to leave early. That way, the fans who are heading here to Rupp Arena, they can make their way over here a little bit easier, and those downtown workers won't get caught in so much traffic on their way out. Live in Lexington, Mark Barber, WKYT.
Okay, it's going to be a lot of fun, lots of great games, and we were all just kind of in here talking about, looking at the bracket. It's pretty interesting games ahead.
It sure is. It's an exciting time around here. March Madness, high school, UK.
And speaking of, the Kentucky Wildcats are waking up in Des Moines this morning, where they're getting ready for their first game in the NCAA tournament.
Yeah, and only WKYT was at Wildcat Cold Lodge as the team boarded a bus for Bluegrass Airport. The Cats will have an open practice this afternoon. UK plays Stony Brook tomorrow night around 9:40. Will you stay up?
It's a late game.
It's hard to stay up that late, right?
I'll know about it by the time I get to work. Let's put it that way.
I know,
right?
but you wake up and you check your phone, right?
You got it. You can see the game on WKYT, and we'll have live coverage from Des Moines beginning today on WKYT News at noon. And we hope you can join us for that. We'll see how the fans are doing up there and the team as well, right?
Always a fun time. So let's check to see how traffic is moving along this morning so far.
Let's go to Officer Don with a check on live drive traffic. Good morning, Don.
Good morning. A little bit of problems with debris in the roadway. It's on the ramp from Versailles Road to the inner loop of the circle. All the construction going on there, the wind causing some issues with stuff being blown on the ramps. Be careful. Getting a look outside right now, traffic flow overall looking good. Inner outer loops of the circle and on the exit ramps off of I-75. As far as our drive times are concerned, no major issues to deal with right now. So it's pretty much a straight shot. Inbound Nicholasville 14 minutes. Frankfurt's 27. From Paris will take 18, and for Richmond about 32. Now back to you in the studio.
Okay, not a bad ride in for folks this morning, and just a sprinkle or two here and there. You can get the latest traffic and weather information anytime with the WKYT Weather Plus Traffic app. Download it for free in the app or Google Play stores. Hey, good morning again. Good to have you with us Wednesday here on WKYT with a lot more news on the way.
Yeah, how a team of engineers at Stanford are thinking small to get big results.
Rain chances almost non-existent the next few days. It's all about the temperatures as we drop those heading off towards your weekend. Maybe even some 30s for highs towards your weekend. I'll show you that and also the talk of a few flakes coming up.
Now, your hour-by-hour forecast with meteorologist Micah Harris.
Yeah, we're looking outside this morning and we're going to be seeing some showers roll on through in some zones, not all zones, but this is a front that's going to be pushing through. And let me tell you this, when the front pushes through, you're really going to feel those gusty winds kicking up. Let's zoom in and show you exactly where we're talking about, where the front is located with those showers. Going into Powell County in the Slade community as you're crossing over into Wolfe County, that's where you're seeing some showers along with Menifee County just south of Frenchburg. It's where you're getting the heaviest rain across 460. It'll really pick up here within the next 5 to 10 minutes. Campton, you're going to be next in line on picking up at least some light rain. And then Boonville, Beattyville, you're seeing a little batch there that will slide eastbound. Jackson, you're next in line here within the next 30 minutes. So there's not much going on, but there's a little batch here and there that we just have to be watching out for. West Liberty, 30 minutes. Here comes those showers. I do want to show you this, okay? So when I walked in this morning, we were at 71 in Lexington. We have already hit our high today. We're only going to drop it from here on out, especially the east and southeast. A cooler air is not there just yet, but it will catch up with everybody else. 72 degrees right now in Rowan County and Moorhead. It's an awesome feel outside, whether you've had the front roll through or not, but those gusty winds continue, and we'll feel that as we go through the day. Temperatures right there in the mid-60s later on this afternoon. It's a nice feel. You got to remember, we were in the 70s and even a few 80s down in southern Kentucky yesterday, and today we're going to be about 10 to 15 degrees below that. But when you're coming from the 70s and 80s, it's a good feel. Let's talk about not just the next few days, because those are pretty dry, not much going on, but dropping temperatures. Let's talk about your weekend. This is our next storm system we're going to be paying close attention to on Saturday. Look at your timestamp. There's 5 p.m. Saturday. You will get at least that opportunity at a few showers down in south and southeastern Kentucky. So it's a small chance of rain on Saturday, but heading off into Sunday, this is when it becomes a little bit interesting. That's when we throw in a few snowflakes in the forecast there on Sunday, especially for southeastern Kentucky. That is the best bet. As of right now, low confidence on this storm system. So we're going to be watching this very closely in the next 2 to 4 days. We still have a long ways to go. So 2 to 4 days out, and we'll really start to nail down this forecast once we get towards your weekend. But for the most part, you're heading down to the Boy Sweet 16. Things look just fine the next few days, heading off towards your weekend. That's where it becomes a little bit interesting. But remember, this is short-lived. On Sunday, you'll have temperatures upper 30s, lower 40s. It all depends on where you live. And then we rise from there on out. I mean, next week, Tuesday off into Wednesday, we'll be back in the 50s and 60s. And it looks like Thursday, even closing in on the 70s once again. So it's short-lived there for the weekend. Just a little taste of winter.
I'm not happy.
Just in case if we've forgotten about how it really is there.
You have upset Michelle.
Well, you know, I have little kids, and I never get to go on a date. I'm supposed to go on a date this weekend.
Spring. Yeah.
And now it's going to be 30 degrees.
It'll be all right. Friday and Saturday will be just fine. It's mainly that Sunday that's going to be a little bit interesting.
It'll work out.
Yeah,
I hope
it'll
so.
be fine.
Thank you, Micah. 6:47 is our time this morning.
With so many advancements in technology, why can't tiny equipment be used to help with everyday tasks? Thanks to one university, it now looks like we can.
Right. The Branicas out at, that is the Brainiacs out at Stanford University, have created a team of 6 tiny robots that can pull a car. Now, Here's where they get their inspiration. Ever seen the way ants work as a team? They move heavy objects hundreds of times their size. Well, the engineering team used that method and they found some unbelievable results. Their tiny robots use micro adhesion and team load sharing to pull a car nearly 4,000 pounds. It's amazing. But again, it was back to they learned from the ants. Right.
Well, it's over my head. I mean, it's impressive.
Good science, right? 6:48 on WKYT here on your Wednesday morning, and our top stories are on the way.
That's right. We have more news ahead.
Coming up, Rubio drops out and Trump builds up his delegate lead. But could the GOP be headed for a contested convention? Plus, will public Wi-Fi in major U.S. cities become hotspots for hackers? More real news coming up on CBS This Morning.
Still to come, Google and GM head to Capitol Hill to discuss their self-driving cars.
And are they ready for the road? That and more is ahead on CBS This Morning. They're testing things out, getting everybody in place for that, which is coming up in about 9 minutes. Our time this morning is 6:51 on WKYT. Work is continuing this morning to try to recover a car that crashed into the Ohio River after a chain reaction crash on a northern Kentucky bridge.
Yeah, witnesses say a semi ran into several cars that were stopped because of a fender bender on the I-275 bridge between Campbell County and Cincinnati. That semi pushed one car over the bridge and into the water. Police say they don't know how many people were in that car. In all, 12 vehicles were involved in the crash. None of the injuries on the bridge were life-threatening. For the third time this week, Lexington police are investigating an overnight shooting. Police say they were called to the Takes Creek Crossing apartments on Center Parkway just after 5 o'clock this morning. A man who had been shot in his leg was banging on a door for help. Now, police say they're not sure if he lives in the apartment complex, but he does have family who lives there. All three shooting victims this week had non-life-threatening injuries.
Today, a judge is expected to hear the case against a Lexington women's clinic that the state says is performing abortions illegally. That hearing was scheduled for yesterday, but it was delayed. Governor Bevin's administration is suing the EMW clinic, claiming that it performed abortions without a license. Kentucky House Democrats used their reinforced majority to reject nearly half of Republican Governor Matt Bevin's budget cuts, while still managing to fully fund required contributions to the state's struggling pension systems without borrowing money. A House committee has approved the plan yesterday, and the full House will vote on the budget today.
Donald Trump and Hillary Clinton inch closer to their party's presidential nomination after big wins in last night's primaries. Trump added to his delegate lead with wins in Florida, North Carolina, and Illinois, but lost to John Kasich in the winner-take-all state of Ohio. Clinton defeated Bernie Sanders in Ohio, Florida, North Carolina, and Illinois. Meanwhile, Marco Rubio suspended his presidential bid after losing his home state of Florida to Trump. Now, the feds have arrested a Pennsylvania man connected to Celebgate. Back in 2012, actress Jennifer Lawrence and model Kate Upton were just two celebrities exposed by a hacker when their private accounts were compromised. Prosecutors say using a phishing scam, 36-year-old Ryan Collins sent the victims an email that looked like they were from Apple or Google, asking them to provide usernames and passwords. When he got into their accounts, investigators say Collins found personal information, which later ended up online. This Friday will be a big day for The Voice winner, Jordan Smith. He is releasing his first album titled Something Beautiful. Smith says the album was put together quickly, but it will have something for everyone, and he hopes the music will inspire people. He plans to be at the Harlan Walmart on Friday to meet his fans and to sign autographs.
Yeah, and isn't that cool? You know, they will no doubt have sales around the world, and yet he is coming home to Harlan there for that special event on Friday. 6:54 right now on WKYT.com. We're keeping watch in northern Kentucky. Those rescuers still trying to pull a vehicle out of the water after it was pushed over an Ohio River bridge during a chain reaction. We'll keep you updated on that online and then throughout the day in our newscasts. Well, Donald Trump and Hillary Clinton are the big winners coming out of last night's presidential primaries, and our web poll shows most of those responding now expect a contested convention for the Republicans. So about 63% say they do anticipate that. And we looked into what would a brokered convention really look like? And you have to reach back into history to find one. So we'll be sharing info on that, but we have an article up on WKYT.com now. Following up as well, as the Kentucky House is expected to pass a budget today that removes cuts to higher education that were in Governor Bevin's proposal. It could set a battle up in the last days of the legislative session. Of course, the Senate will have its own version. We'll see what happens as we move forward. The WKYT team has arrived in Des Moines to cover the UK Wildcats, who open up NCAA tournament play tomorrow evening. And our live coverage begins today with a report on WKYT News at noon. We'll be checking out the team and the fans who are there to cheer them on. On Kentucky.com, the Bluegrass Sports Commission asking the city of Lexington to chip in more than $18 million on a 134-acre sports park. The overall cost would top $25 million. U.S. District Judge Danny Reeves of Lexington has been nominated to a federal sentencing commission where he would help set the rules for judges and courts all around the country. And CBS This Morning is coming up shortly with your eye opener, and of course we'll have local updates. Join us on Facebook, follow us on Twitter or Instagram, and for the latest news anytime, WKYT.com.
Still have some showers back toward the eastern zones. Frenchburg, West Liberty, Beattyville, and also Jackson. You're next in line. All that's going to be funneling on out of here within the hour of eastern Kentucky. Temperatures in the 60s and 70s this morning. It's 63 now in Lexington, 61 in Frankfort. And guys, as we go through your day, we already hit our high, so we'll be right there in the mid-60s later on this afternoon. A nice day in store. Really good looking.
All right, we're going to enjoy it and wait for the weekend. Nobody's more up to date than you to start your day. Thank you for being with us.
Have a great day.